The complete guide to the TOEFL IBT test, guide to listening. About listening, the second section of the TOEFL IBT test tests your understanding of spoken material and your ability to answer questions about the conversations and lectures that you hear. It contains 2 conversations and 4 lectures that take place in a university setting. Some tests may also include an extra unscored conversation or lecture. Tapi sejak Juli 2023, sejauh yang saya paham, sudah tidak ada ini extra unscored conversation or lecture. But that's okay. You as the test taker will not know which will be unscored. So it is important to do well on all the conversation or lectures. After each conversation or lecture, there is a set of questions asking about the information that was presented. Skills that are tested in this section include the abilities to understand the main idea or topic of the conversation or lecture, understand supporting ideas and details of the conversation or lecture, draw inferences, identify the speaker's purpose, method, and attitude, recognize the relationship between parts of a lecture, cause and effect, comparison, contrast, chronological order, and so on. Understand how the speaker's intonation affects meaning, analyze and categorize information in order to complete summaries and charts. When you begin the listening section, you will see a computer screen with a photograph of a test taker wearing headphones. This screen will tell you to put on your headphones. Now, put on your headphones. The next screen tells you how to change the volume by clicking the volume icon on the toolbar. Subsequently, you will see the direction screen. After you click on the dismiss directions button on the toolbar, the listening section begins immediately. Toolbar button number 1 tells you that you are taking the listening section. You should already know this. Button number 2 tells you the question number that you are working on, as well as the total number of questions you must answer in this section. Okay, button number 3 is a clock that keeps track of the amount of time you have to work on the listening section. On the right side of the toolbar are the testing tools. The volume button, number 4, allows you to change the volume at any time during the test. The help button, number 5, gives you the directions for the listening section. However, it won't give you any real help. After you have answered the question, you need to click on OK button. Number 6, to confirm your answer. Then on number 7, to move to the next question. You can go back to a previous question after you have confirmed your answer or listen to a talk second time. The listening section of the TOEFL IBT is not computer adaptive. In other words, the level of difficulty will not change according to your ability to answer the previous question. Timing, you have 20 minutes in which to answer the questions. This doesn't include the time you spend listening to conversations and lectures. Individual questions have no time limit. You can take as long as you want to answer a question, as long as you finish the entire section with the time limit. The entire listening section, including time spent listening, will probably take you about 60 minutes to complete. Although the TOEFL IBT gives you an indefinite amount of time to answer individual listening questions, the multiple choice questions on the audio program, tape or CD, the guide, are separated by 10-second pause. You will have a little more time to answer matching, ordering, complete the chart questions. If you prefer, you can pause the audio program and take a little more time to answer questions. Matching, ordering, and complete the chart question. The conversations. Conversations are dialogue between two people. One person is also always a student. The other person may be the other students, a professor or teaching assistant, a librarian, a university administrator, and so on. These conversations take place on college campus, in a dormitory, cafeteria, class building, or a professor's office. They deal with situations related to university life. They often deal with solving a problem that one of the two people is having. You will first see a photograph that shows the speakers and sets the scene for you. However, the picture will not help you answer the questions. At the same time that the picture appears, you will hear the narrator say, listen to a conversation between blah 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 and blah blah blah. The photograph will remain on the screen while you listen to the conversation. Conversations last 2 to 3 minutes and they are from 12 to 25 exchanges between the two speakers. Conversations are allowed by the set of 5 questions. You will not see the questions until after the question is over. Below the photograph on your computer screen, you will see a time bar that tells you approximately how much longer the conversation will last. A line in the time bar from left to right as the conversation progresses. The time bar on a screen shows on the previous page, for example, indicates that the conversation is about halfway over. Okay, the bar under the picture. The lectures. Lectures take place in a classroom and are usually given by a professor. Lectures may be monologues, one speaker, or academic discussions involving the professor and one or more students. They involve a wide variety of academic subjects: anthropology, biology, history, literature, chemistry, psychology, and so on. Lectures last 5 to 6 minutes and are about 500 to 800 words long. You will first see a screen that identifies the type of class in which the lecture is given, biology. You will then see a photograph of a professor lecturing or having a discussion with a class. The narrator will say, listen to a lecture in biology class. Listen to a discussion in a psychology class. Again, there is a time bar below the photo that tells you approximately how much longer the lecture will last. In many of the lectures, you will see a blackboard screen that presents specialized vocabulary from the lecture, the kind of terms a professor might write on a board during a class. Test questions are not about the information on a blackboard, so try not to get too distracted by the words. Sometimes you will also see a photograph, drawing, map, or chart related to the lecture. Authentic language. In the listening section of the TOEFL IBT, conversations and lectures do not sound as if they are being read aloud by actors. The speaker sounds authentic, like people actually having conversations or giving lectures. This authentic language may include the following features: polite interruptions. Professor, okay, let's move on to the topic of. Excuse me, Professor Wade, but could we go over that last point one more time? Mistakes and corrections. Unlike most drums, timpani produce a definite pitch when struck. It was in the 16th century that they became a common feature of the classical orchestra. Wait, no, it was in the 1600s, in the 17th century, I should have said. Hesitations and repetitions. Professor Jackson, excuse me, let me get this straight. You said that in the Canadian Parliament that the Senate was the upper house, but that the House of Commons, um, the lower house, actually has more power. That's right. In practice, the House of Commons is the dominant branch of Parliament. Digrations. There are plenty of good reasons why New York City became the financial center of the country. Of course, it's not just finance. New York is a cultural center, uh, an artistic center. I mean, if you want to see a good play, if you want to go to a good museum, then you go to New York, right? But anyway, one reason it became a financial center is that blah blah blah. Reduced speech. So, are you gonna sign up for Professor Kimley's sociology class? I guess I've got to take at least one more social science class. Gonna is the reduced form of going to. Gotta is the reduced form of got to. Sentence fragments. William Blake, a great poet, at least in my opinion. Most of the speakers will have standard American accents. However, some speakers may have a regional US accent, Southern US or New England, for example, or an accent from another English-speaking country, the UK, Canada, Australia, India, or New Zealand, for example. The questions. The chart below shows you the kinds of questions that are typically asked about the conversations and the lectures. The chart also shows you in which lesson in the guide you will find more information and practice for this type of question. Standard multiple choice listening questions. Type of questions: main topic questions, main purpose questions, factual questions, negative factual questions, inference questions, purpose questions, method questions, attitude questions. Let's read one by one. Main topic questions. This asks you what subject the conversation or lecture is generally about. Example: what is the main topic of this conversation? What is the primary topic of this lecture? Lesson 9. Main purpose questions. This asks you why, in general, the speakers are having the conversation or why the lecture is being given. Why is the man, woman talking to the professor? What is the main point of this lecture? Factual questions. This asks you about supporting ideas or details mentioned in the conversation or lecture. What does the speaker say about? According to the professor, where does? According to the lecture, why does? According. Negative factual questions. These ask which of the answer choices is not true according to information given in a conversation or lecture, or what information is not mentioned in the passage. According to the lecture, which of the following is not true? According. Which of the following is not mentioned in the lecture? Inference question. This asks you to draw conclusions, inference about conclusions, based on information given in a conversation or lectures. What does the man woman imply about? Imply. What can be inferred about from the lecture? Imply, inferred, conclusion. Okay. Purpose question. This asks you why a speaker mentioned some point in a conversation or lecture. Purpose. There is a purpose behind it, right? Why does the professor mention? There must be a reason. Method question. This asks you to explain how the speaker explains or accomplishes something in the passage. Method. How does the speaker explain the concept of? How does the professor introduce the idea of? By giving example? By contrasting? By giving similarities? Many. Attitude questions. This asks you how the speaker feels or think about certain issue, idea, or person. What does the speaker say about? What is the professor's opinion about? To answer standard multiple choice questions, you simply click on the oval next to the answer choice that you believe is correct, or on the choice itself. This will make the oval appear dark. You then click OK, followed by Next. Other types of listening questions. Some listening questions have special directions as described as follows. Questions with multiple answers, reply questions, matching questions, ordering questions, complete the chart questions, and there is notes note taking, tactics for listening. I'm just gonna read all of this. Some factual and negative factual questions have two or even three out of five answers. You must click on two or three answers before you continue. These questions have boxes rather than ovals next to the answer choices. And when you click on each choice, the box is not completely blackened. Instead, an X appears in the box. You have to mark two or three choices before you can continue to the next question. Which of the following are the most likely sites for active volcanoes? Choose two answers. The Pacific Rim, the Mediterranean belt. According to the professor, which of the following persons became presidents of the United States? There will probably be 3 to 5 questions with multiple answers. Oke, 3 atau 5 nanti pertanyaan yang menggunakan model multiple answers. Replay questions. Some questions first replay a short portion of the conversation and lecture, and then ask you a question about what you hear. These questions usually ask you what the speaker meant or why that speaker made a comment. Reply questions require you to go beyond the literal meaning of statements in the talk. The meaning of the expression may depend on the speaker's intonation or tone of voice. These questions are marked with a headphone icon. You see screen on your computers that say listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question. So I don't have to go to over that again, do I? What does the professor mean when she says this? She thinks that student understand the point. Yeah, beyond literal translation. There will probably be 4 to 6 reply question in each listening section. Oh, lumayan banyak kali. 4 sampai 6 pertanyaan. Matching questions. Matching questions ask you to match characteristic or specific information with general categories. Match the animal with the appropriate category. Amphibian, frog, reptile, mammal, bear, reptile, snake. To answer this type of question, you simply click on each answer choice and then drag and drop it into the appropriate box. There will probably be 1 or 2 matching questions. Ordering questions. Ordering questions asks you to put 4 or sometimes 3 events or steps into the correct order. The professor describes the process by which a tornado forms. Put the steps of the process in the correct order. A, B, C, D. To answer the question, you first click on A, B, C, D answer choice. There will probably 1 or 2 ordering questions. Complete the chart questions. Complete the chart questions test your ability to classify information or to determine whether or not points are made in a lecture. They ask you to complete charts that summarize all or part of lecture. In this lecture, the professor describes mature soil, indicate whether each of the following is characteristic of mature soil. Contains more microscopic life than immature soil. Consists of 3 layers. Consists mostly of broken rock fragments. Is darker in color than immature soil. To answer these questions, you first click on the A, B, C, D answer choice, then drag and drop the letter into the box where you think it belongs. Note taking. Note taking is encouraged on the TOEFL IBT. And the notes you take can be very helpful when you are answering the questions. To help you improve your note taking skills, the listening tutorial, pages 381 to 393, contains information and an exercise to help you develop this ability. You may want to begin work on this section before you start working on the listening lessons in this book. So note taking first and then working on a lesson in this book. Tactics for listening. As with all sections of the test, be familiar with the directions. When the directions appear, click on Dismiss Directions button and begin the listening section right away. Take notes and use your notes when you answer the question. Try to record as much information as possible in your notes. Time management is important. Remember, you have as long as you like to answer each question, but you must complete the section within an all time limit. Keep your eye on a clock and on an icon that tells you which question number you are working on. Always answer promptly after the answer choices appear, not only to save time but also to keep the listening material fresh in your mind. Refer to your notes as necessary to help you answer the questions. Do not spend too much time on any one question. Move on if you don't understand, if you can't find the right answer. Use your power of prediction. As you are listening to the conversation or lecture, try to guess what questions will be asked. Oh, while listening, predict what questions will be asked. If you are not sure of an answer, try to eliminate unlikely choices. If you have no idea which answer is correct, guess. Then go on to the next question. Concentration is very important in this part of the test. Once you have answered a question, don't think about it anymore. Start thinking about the next question. Focus your attention on the voices you hear and the words on the screen.